Mr. Mark, today I would like to ask you a little history about the Buddhist statue, how it traveled from India to Japan. I know it's a big topic, so I'm really sorry for asking you a loaded question, but I think you can give us some idea of what it's all about. Please.
Well, let me start from a different perspective. The word Buddha is an Indian word, a Sanskrit word, and it originally was used to refer to the founding father of Buddhism, Shakyamuni, who founded Buddhism at 500 BC. Buddha, the term itself, means awakened and enlightened and liberated. And even today, the ultimate goal of all practitioners of Buddhism is to attain Buddhahood, to become awakened, to become enlightened, to become liberated. And even today in Japan and most of East Asia, the schools of Buddhism say that anyone can attain enlightenment. Anyone, a woman, a man, poor, rich. You don't have to be a monk to attain enlightenment. And some schools even say you can attain enlightenment in this life, the quick path to enlightenment. So consequently, nearly all schools of Buddhism believe there are many, many, many Buddha, and that the Shakyamuni, Shaka Buddha, the founder of Buddhism, he is only one among many different Buddha. Okay, are you following me?
Yes, for sure. Thank you, sir.
So then, as many viewers do know, Buddhism originated in India around 500 BC from a man named Shakyamuni. And in Japan, he's known as Shaka Buddha, Shaka Nyorai. And he was the first man to achieve enlightenment. But for the 5 centuries after his death, his teachings were preserved only in the memories of his disciples and followers. Nothing was written down. There were no written records. There was no artistic representation. There was no humanistic or anthropomorphic artistic statuary. There was no statuary of the Buddha for 500 years. It wasn't until around the 1st century of the Common Era in northwest India, very close to Afghanistan and Pakistan, Gandhara, that we see the earliest humanistic representations of the Buddha. Now, by this time, the 1st century of the Common Era, by this time, Buddhism had also spread to Central Asia, had spread to Southeast Asia, and more importantly, had spread to China, where it blossomed. And from China, it spread to Korea by the 4th century. And from Korea, it spread to Japan in the middle 6th century, around 550 AD or so. It came here to Japan. Now, by this time, the representation of the Buddha and Buddhist deities, the representations had been standardized. I mean, so the Buddha all share certain common characteristics. The Bodhisattva all share certain common characteristics. The Japanese received these and followed suit, and they still use these common attributes. In the early years in Japan, for the first 200 years in Japan, metal casting, usually gilt bronze, was the preferred way to make a statue. Although you did have clay statues, dry lacquer statues, wood statues, and stone statues. But in those days, metal was the preferred material. It wasn't until around the Heian period 10th century or so, where wood became the primary material for making Buddhist statuary, and then wood has dominated up till today then as a material for making statuary. So I've often wondered why wood became the preferred method, and I think I have two answers. One is that Japan has abundant forests, and they have wonderful cypress trees, nutmeg trees, the alcova trees, keaki, hinoki, any number of different kinds of woods. And the second reason I think wood was preferred goes back to Japan's ancient practice of tree worship. You know, for the longest time, the Japanese have revered trees as the home of their own indigenous kami, their own indigenous gods. So I think those are two probable reasons why wood dominates in the world of Buddhist statuary.